Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another video, and as you can see by the title, today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different, ranking every Chelsea manager under Roman Abramovich from best to worst, or probably the other way around. We're going to start worst to best, but it's going to be a very interesting list, one that I've wanted to do for a while, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Before I get into the video, I just want to make a couple of disclaimers. There are going to be two managers who aren't going to be on this list, and that is Claudio Ranieri and Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard because he hasn't even finished his first season yet. We don't even know what his legacy is going to be at Chelsea as a coach. So, of course, I didn't really want to include him without even a full season to go by. And Claudio Ranieri, even though he was here for Roman's first year, he wasn't appointed by Roman. So that's what I'm sort of keeping it as, just going with managers that Roman has actually appointed. So it's going to be an interesting list, so I hope you enjoy. So let's get to it. Andre Villas-Boas. Heralded as Jose Mourinho's apprentice who would return to Stamford Bridge to claim glory, but how quickly it all went wrong. Villas-Boas first came to Chelsea as a scout during Jose Mourinho's tenure, also assisting Mourinho at Porto and Inter Milan. Arriving after the harsh sacking of Carlo Ancelotti, the young coach's aim was to slowly usher out the older names of the Chelsea squad and embed a more attractive style of play. But in doing so, quickly lost in friends in the dressing room and results started to sour. And there were some disastrous results. Losing at home to Arsenal, conceding 5 goals and twice at the Bridge to Liverpool in League and Cup. The only ray of light being Drogba's heroics against Valencia to prevent the Blues being knocked out of the Champions League in the group stages. Despite brief signs of life, by the time Chelsea's Champions League hopes looked dashed in Naples, fans had made up their minds and it was time to go. Leaving Frank Lampard out of his starting 11 raised alarm bells, and only winning 3 of his remaining 12 Premier League games meant the writing was on the wall for AVB. Despite his background in opposition scouting, Villas-Boas' naivety proved his biggest downfall, and like many on this list, wasn't given patience to turn the tide. In truth, Villas-Boas probably arrived 6 years too early when a squad overhaul wasn't as drastically needed, and it seems ironic the player who he tried to freeze out is now the one doing just that. Phil Scolari. Big Phil certainly couldn't be accused of naivety when he arrived in the summer of 2008. With Chelsea looking for their next big coach after Mourinho's departure, the former World Cup winning Brazil manager was seen as the man to bring the Samba style to Stamford Bridge. In truth, Scolari didn't start badly, going undefeated in his first 12 games. However, by February, the Blues were 7 points adrift of Manchester United and the football was getting turgid. His final game, a dull goalless draw to relegation-threatened Hull, proved the final nail in the coffin. Scolari's agent made claims after the sacking that more investment was expected, including the signing of Robinho, who chose the newfound riches of Manchester City instead. Scolari's lack of fluent English was also cited as a reason for his eventual sacking, with Big Phil since blaming Nicolas Anelka for his sacking after the French forward refused to change positions to accommodate Didier Drogba's return from injury. Who knows how true these claims are, but results meant Scolari was swiftly shown the door by an unhappy Roman. Avram Grant. How differently things could have been for the softly spoken Israeli coach. Personal friend of Abramovich was appointed as director of football for Chelsea in the summer of 2007. 2 months later, he was in the dugout. Despite having never managed outside of Israel, suddenly Grant was flung into the hot seat of one of England's top clubs. Although his start was troubled and surrounded by fans' anger over the sacking of Mourinho, Grant soon got hold of things and went on a 16-game unbeaten run. Even being offered a 4-year contract pre-Christmas showcased the club's faith in the Premier League's first Jewish manager. He also had a difficult injury list to contend with, as the big trio of Terry, Lampard and Drogba all spent lengthy time on the sidelines. Sadly, his tenure will be defined by a trio of heartbreaking defeats. Getting to the final of the League Cup but losing to Spurs in extra time, then going to the final day of the Premier League season only to miss out on the title to Manchester United, and then, well, Moscow, where the Blues were a spot kick away from European glory. Grant was then shown the door and he went on to manage Portsmouth, who would then get relegated the following season. Grant could have been heralded as one of Chelsea's greatest ever managers by winning the club's first Champions League, but instead he'd leave with nothing. Rafael Benitez. Few men have garnered as much scorn from Chelsea fans as the Spaniard did when he arrived in 2012, completely born out of his connection to bitter rivals Liverpool and comments he had made previously to not only Jose Mourinho but Chelsea. Benitez had once proudly proclaimed he would never take the Chelsea job, a comment that would come back to bite him. Despite his decent results, fans would not let his past go, consistently chanting in derision to the interim coach all the way up to his final game. In fairness, Benitez did what was asked of him, securing Champions League football for the following season and winning a Europa League title in Amsterdam, which was a special memory. With years now past, it would be foolish to dismiss Benitez's coaching pedigree. Just look at his recent work under difficult circumstances at Newcastle to prove his talent. Though being Liverpool's manager during the heated rivalry between the Blues and the Reds was always going to be a bridge too far for fans to accept. Gus Hiddink. You won't find find a bad word said about the Dutchman, who twice came in to steady the ship after 2 difficult periods. His first stint in charge in 2009 was the one that saw the Blues capture an FA Cup and be within a decent referee of a Champions League final. God, how I could make a video just on that night. But after the issues with Scolari, Hiddink added a calm demeanour to the Chelsea hot seat, and it said a lot that fans were chanting for him to stay after the FA Cup win in May. Although his second tenure in 2015-16 was less successful, he did manage to stem a calamitous spiral of terrible results and a squad which looked devoid of harmony. Despite never being more than an interim head coach, Hiddink's experience and character earned him wide praise and endearment from Chelsea fans. Maurizio Sarri. Well, this one is going to split opinion. Rivaling fan discontent for Benitez, Sarri's tenure will likely go down as one of the most memorable in recent memory, causing a toxic fan divide which threatened to tear Chelsea supporters apart. The Italian hoped to bring the widely heralded Sarri ball from Naples to the Fulham Road. The former bank clerk started brilliantly, going on a 12-game unbeaten run, becoming the first Premier League manager to avoid defeat in his first dozen games. Then it all turned with the Blues losing a trio of games to Spurs, Arsenal and Leicester. The goals and exciting football had dried up, and soon things would get worse with an embarrassing 4-0 defeat to Bournemouth, followed then by 6-0 hammering to Manchester City. Fans had then turned and discontent was shown online and in the stands. Without digging up old arguments, the positioning of N'Golo Kante and Jorginho caused much discontent, plus the style of possession football which irritated a vocal section of supporters. Amazingly, Sarri was the only manager under Roman to survive such a difficult period, finding form and securing Champions League football and winning the Europa League, destroying Arsenal in glorious fashion in Baku. He also gave regular starts to both academy graduates Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Callum Hudson-ODOI, who thrived. Sarri didn't get sacked, deciding to leave by his own volition, departing back to Italy to manage Juventus. He transformed Chelsea from a counter-attacking side to a possession-based one, something no coach before had successfully been able to accomplish, plus leaving Chelsea on your own terms under Roman is an anomaly. Antonio Conte. The charismatic Italian's time at Chelsea definitely is a tale of 2 seasons. One incredible and one, well, not so. But in truth, it'd be a crime not to highlight the brilliance that was the 16-17 season. In one of the best pieces of coaching by any in the Chelsea hot seat, moving to a back three proved a stroke of pure genius as Chelsea went on a 13-game winning run. The signing of Marcos Alonso, the underdog story of Victor Moses, and return of David Luiz were all hallmarks of an unexpected title triumph. Following the failures of 15-16, no fan could have predicted such a successful season. The signing of N'Golo Kante was an essential piece of the jigsaw too, but Conte's touchline antics instantly made him a loved figure in SW6. The 5-0 demolition of Everton was one of the greatest performances ever by a Chelsea team, plus that exhilarating comeback against Manchester City also was iconic. The only reason Conte doesn't rank higher is because his second campaign was tarred in ongoing frustrations with the Chelsea board, leading to a less animated figure and some dismal performances. However, his final game in charge was an FA Cup victory over Man United, which meant the Italian went out on a high. Although it could have proved to be so much more, Conte's title winners will go down as one of the best in the club's history. Roberto Di Matteo. In truth, being the manager for Chelsea's greatest night could put him top of this list. Following the sacking of Villas-BOAS, the club cut adrift of the title race 3-1 down to Napoli in the first leg of the Champions League, and a squad lacking confidence, what was to follow would be one of the most miraculous endings to a season ever witnessed. Chelsea would overturn a deficit to Napoli in an enthralling second leg where Di Matteo reintroduced Didier Drogba, Frank Lampard and John Terry. All 3 would go on to score that night. With blue woven into his DNA and the man responsible for one of the most historic FA Cup final goals of all time, Di Matteo would lead Chelsea to another FA Cup triumph over Liverpool in May. And then, well, the Champions League run. What hasn't already been said about the ludicrous tale, that night in Barca and the miracle of Munich. A run of historic games that have quickly become the greatest in the club's history, and Di Matteo was at the forefront of this glorious tale. Fans begged for the former player to be given a long-term deal and he was installed as Chelsea's permanent boss. However, it'd only be for a short term, as 4 months into the next campaign, Di Matteo would be sacked after losing to Juventus, effectively putting the holders out of the group stage. Likely the dismissal that was greeted with the most anger from fans, reasoning was poor results and maybe inexperience to build after the highs of Munich. Though like many on this list, simply wasn't given patience to see out his vision. Di Matteo left with no ill will and a place in the history books as the man to deliver Chelsea's first European Cup. Carlo Ancelotti. One of the most illustrious names ever to grace the game, cemented himself as one of Chelsea's best coaches in one season, leading the Blues to an historic double, winning both the Premier League and FA Cup in style. Chelsea scored a record-breaking 103 goals in the 09-10 Premier League season. Despite the league going to the wire with Manchester United, Chelsea's incredible attacking blew opposition away, providing fans with free-flowing football they had never witnessed before. It also helped that Ancelotti's Blues would do the league double over Manchester United, Liverpool and Arsenal, a feat that has not been replicated since. Frank Lampard's ridiculous 27-goal season came under the Italian, plus Drogba's golden boot year captured on the final day in an 8-0 hammering of Wigan Athletic. The players clearly loved Ancelotti Ancelotti and his demeanour, producing some of the best performances seen to date. A bit like Conte, the second year proved difficult with conflicts with his superiors taking over from on-pitch matters. However, Carlo still acted with class and professionalism, getting the Blues to a highly respectable second place finish. In what was surely the harshest sacking in the club's recent history, Ancelotti was informed of his dismissal after a final day defeat to Everton in the tunnel by Chief Executive Ron Gourlay an hour after full time, something which still leaves a bitter taste in the mouth of supporters. How Carlo deserved much more. Jose Mourinho. Because it has to be. Yes, 2020 Jose is a far different man, and following joining Manchester United and now managing Tottenham, some fans have turned their back on Mourinho as a rift between Jose and Chelsea has formed in recent years. But in reality, even as recent as 2016, this answer would have been unchallenged by any Chelsea fan. When Jose Mourinho arrived in 2004 with a wry smile and the confidence to call himself the special one, it was clear the West London club had appointed a character unlike any other. Chelsea's 04-05 season still remains one of the most impressive in Premier League history, only conceding 17 league goals and reaching 95 points. The pure mindset change and winning mentality that Jose Mourinho instilled within the culture of Chelsea Football Club is truly unrivaled. There was an unrelenting dominance of Mourinho's first Chelsea which swatted aside their nearest challengers to win back-to-back titles. His famous battles with Rafa Benitez and Arsene Wenger, with Wenger losing the battle nearly every time, cementing Chelsea at the top of the English game. To understand Mourinho's effect more emphatically, just listen to the words of Frank Lampard and John Terry. Especially Lampard, whose early days with the charismatic coach helped to turn potential into greatness. Although when he returned in 2013, his hair was a little greyer and his demeanour a little less charming, he still crafted another title-winning side, this time with the elegance of Cesc Fabregas and the cult hero that was Diego Costa. Yes, his antics were at times unsavoury, and a natural confrontation of Mourinho does have an expiry date and can leave a club feeling fueled by conflicts rather than unity. And yes, 15-16 was a disaster unmatched in Abramovich's era and proved a sad end to what many fans had hoped to be a longer dynasty. Though at his pomp, Mourinho's tactics and coaching were unmatched in the English game, the best at elevating his side's strengths whilst exploiting the weakest element of any opponent. The mind games, the touchline antics and headline-worthy quotes made in box office viewing. Through the Champions League triumph in 2012 plus all of the success that has been achieved without Mourinho was born out of his mentality, instilled in 2005. Many of Jose's critics claim he is unable to leave a positive legacy at the clubs he works at, but Chelsea proves the opposite. Matched with Roman's investment, Mourinho turned the Blues into winners, which is why he is the best manager under Roman Abramovich and subsequently the greatest in Chelsea's history. So there you have it, my ranking list for Chelsea managers under Abramovich. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm sure because it's the internet people will disagree, but that is what the comment section's for. So guys, go down there, let me know your thoughts and your ranking list of your own. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Give me those reasons, be respectful, but I know you guys always like to engage in the argument and sort of give your own reasoning, so I'm going to be down there in the comments and hear your guys' thoughts. Also let me know, give this video a like if you want to see more content like this, ranking lists, top 10 lists, all that good stuff during the current period. I'm really intrigued to hear because it is something I potentially would like to do on the channel more often. But thank you guys as ever for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at Son of Chelsea, and I'll see you again.